Coming up tonight, the Minister of Health says more public health facilities are on the way for Family Islands. This right after a week of the public bashing the Princess Margaret Hospital. Plus, the fabulous Pelican Bay in Grand Bahama is even more fabulous after some renovations. Our Marlena Leonard sat down with the owner. Stay close. And faster than a speeding bullet, the 50th anniversary of Independence logo dropped and immediately straw bags were produced with the same. See how it looks straight ahead. This is Our News Weekend Edition. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Megan Shepard. 9 primary health care facilities to be constructed throughout the Family Islands before the end of this Davis administration's term in office. This according to Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville. 2 new state-of-the-art hospitals are also on the agenda, one of them to be built on the island of Grand Bahama.
The hospital for Grand Bahama that is being led by the Beck Group is at its advanced stages, and we are now finalized the topographic studies and the geotechnical studies on the new piece of property that is now confirmed for the construction of that facility in Grand Bahama. Our medical planners have clearly indicated on completion of that hospital, we plan not to have 2 campuses. The hospital at the Rand Memorial Hospital will go down to a secondary facility where we will provide geriatric care as well as psychiatric care, and we have a very robust and decent operating theater where we will do some same-day surgeries.
Dr. Darville shares the price tag associated with constructing that hospital.
But for the facility for Grand Bahama that is being led by the Beck Group, that came in at a cost of about $201 million. The construction of that facility will be a phased approach, phase 1, which will produce an urgent care and about 42 beds, and the second phase will produce the balance of the beds, which will be a multi-story complex. That has already been worked out, and we are close to the request for proposals. The land is completely done.
He also gave this update as it relates to the new hospital for the nation's capital.
That the feasibility study for the hospital here in New Providence is completed. That, along with the DIP note, is now forwarded, where we are now seeking in the international community for the funding. That particular hospital, based on the planners, will be a specialty hospital focusing on maternity care, adolescents, pediatric care. There will be a reference lab, there will be a national morgue, and there will be an expanded diagnostic services.
He says the structural plans for that facility will be unveiled shortly.
So there will be 2 phases. The first phase will be the specialty hospital, and the second phase that we possibly will not get to in this term in office will be a second campus that would reflect the services that will happen here at the Princess Margaret Hospital. While this is being done, it is the responsibility of the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the PHA to ensure we improve the physical plant here at the Princess Margaret Hospital, because this hospital will be carrying the burden as it relates to public health care, tertiary public health care services in New Providence, and likewise the Rand Memorial Hospital.
Now, that feasibility study was completed late last year and is currently out for financing. The Public Hospitals Authority hosting a successful blood drive yesterday in aid of the Princess Margaret Hospital Blood Bank, acknowledging the public's concern regarding the PHA's ability to provide blood to its patients. Managing Director of the PHA, Albinette Roll, says this is the first step in providing more information.
I think what's most important for us as a healthcare system is to ensure that the community understands the value of blood, the process of giving blood, the types of blood, and everything surrounding that process. But this is just the beginning.
Roll says they intend to host the initiative throughout the Family Islands as well. She also explains the shelf life of blood within the bank.
It's not the intent that you have a blood bank that is over rimming with blood, because we will have to destroy them. And as we move with the education of the population, you begin to understand the length of time that we can have blood, the length of time that platelets can be held, the length of time that fresh frozen plasma can be held. And so those things are going to increase the level of understanding of the population and really support moving forward. So I want to encourage persons to look out for our calendar. Join us. We're more than willing. At the end of the day, it's for country.
Well, earlier this week, another video went viral showing the leader of the Coalition of Independence, Lincoln Bain, questioning a Haitian man about his immigration status. The video shows where that man provided personal documents to the local activists. Recently, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs reminded the public that unless it is a law enforcement officer, no one should allow themselves to be questioned or detained by someone. Bain defending his actions, saying it is Bahamians who call on him for assistance and he sees nothing wrong with questioning people.
No one is doing anything wrong to anybody, and no one definitely will go out there and identify themselves as an official. And so we think that that it was overkill to put out that statement and then to say that you're sending it to all of the embassies. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I think Bahamian people can see exactly through what is going on.
Well, still to come on Our News Weekend Edition, the country's Deputy Prime Minister has some good news about tourist arrival stats for Grand Bahama. And after a facelift, Pelican Bay is ready to show off its renovated rooms. The details straight ahead after this break. Welcome back. Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture Mario Bowleg says his ministry is looking at ways to provide much-needed venues for the performing arts. Though there is no firm timeline, Bowleg says he hopes to get it done within the next year.
One thing we want to do is get our performing arts school back up and running. We know that after the old Shirley Street Theater has come dilapidated and unable to be occupied, there has been some plans in the makings to try to get that back up and running. I can't say whether that'll be in the next 24 to 36 months. There's some pressing projects, but what we want to do is not so much look at a physical structure, but however we can open up the School of Performing Arts and the dance school back up, and maybe by using some facilities that already exist that we can rent. And so it is our hope that within this year, it's my hope as the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture that will be come forward and we can see more of these young persons involved in some positive activities as it relates to the Orange economy and the performing arts.
Bowleg also says the government is showing its commitment to the Orange economy through increased grants for creatives.
This administration has focused on the Orange economy. As you can see, we have increased the grant that we give from the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture. So those who would register, go online and register with us, all of the artisans, whatever, no matter what part of artists are they, whether they're in the performing arts, whether they're in the drawing arts, whether they're in anything as it relates to culture and the Orange economy. There are grants there, and we invite them to come and register and get the necessary financial assistance they need to take their craft to the next level.
Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation Chester Cooper offered statistics on Grand Bahama's tourism activity at a welcome reception for the partners and stakeholders of Grand Bahama's tourism industry Friday night.
I am not certain how many of our islands could have endured what Grand Bahama did and still stand, but you do. We recognize that there's much more work to be done, and we're doing just that. The statistics indicate, though, that when we compare arrivals this year against what we saw last year, we see a 350% increase. When we compare these numbers against pre-pandemic and pre-Dorian levels, we can tell you that we have returned 80%.
The minister also shared a date by which work is expected to have started on Grand Bahama's International Airport.
You will see more airlift very soon from Italy, from Tampa, from Fort Lauderdale, from Atlanta. You will see new routes and increased air capacity. Work will begin on the Grand Bahama International Airport before March 31st, 2023.
When Our News last spoke to General Manager of Pelican Bay, Magnus Alnabak, he mentioned that after Hurricane Dorian and the pandemic, the hotel was getting a much-needed facelift. This week, the renovated rooms opened officially, and the public was excited to get a first look at the new spaces. Our Marlena Leonard was there for the story.
We have now actually renovated 75% of our rooms at Pelican Bay. We have 182 in total. We have done 75% totally over the last 5 years. We did a similar renovation after Hurricane Matthew. So 75% of Pelican Bay has been totally redone in the last 5 years, which is quite unique for Grand Bahama.
General Manager Magnus Alnebeck offered a detailed list of the hotel's contractors and urged the government to remember Grand Bahamians in the hiring process as more projects move in.
We see the big boys from NASA starting to get interested in construction, etc. here. So you know, since we have a lot of powerful people here, I want to remind them that we have some very good people in Grand Bahama who can do this sort of work. Don't leave them out when the big things are happening here, because they know their stuff and we can highly recommend them.
Alnebeck says $4 million were invested in the renovation of the 48 rooms that needed a facelift. An investment Minister for Grand Bahama, Ginger Moxie, expresses an appreciation for.
I'm grateful to the team at Pelican Bay for hanging in there. Like Magnus Alnebeck would have said, the general manager, you know, they were open when there were only 2 guests. And so they've been through it with us and kept their doors open. For that, we are grateful. And they've reinvested.
Half of the newly renovated rooms are designed to be extended stay rooms, a choice Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, Investment and Aviation spoke to.
We are about to relaunch the island of Grand Bahama as an innovation center, and we hope to be able to attract a lot of techies to Grand Bahama who might decide to make Grand Bahama their home for a couple months at a time to enjoy the special environment that we have. We hope to be able to begin this process next week as we visit Canada to talk about what I will coin today as tech tourism. And I hope that you will be the beneficiary of many of these extended stays.
And the minister isn't the only one pleased with the progress. The business community is happy to see the turn toward revitalization. President of the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce, James Carey.
I'd just love to see it happen with the rest of the hotels in Grand Bahama, but this is a great start. I think the management and owners of this hotel have done a fantastic job in keeping it going and also being bullish on Grand Bahama. So we're very excited about that, and I think it bodes well for the future. It's one thing complaining about absence of airline flights, and but we also know we have an absence of hotel rooms. So it's great that rooms are becoming available, and that bodes well for what's ahead.
In Grand Bahama, reporting for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
Thanks, Marlena. Just after the break, the Lyford Key School is all set to expand its scholarship program, giving even more education opportunities to the country's youth. An environmental lawyer turned farmer is on a mission for Bahamians to eat healthy. We have the details straight ahead. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Lyford Key International School celebrating its 60th Founders Day this past week. Principal David Mindorf announcing that the Future Leaders of Tomorrow scholarship program will now expand to give 10 Bahamians an opportunity to become a part of the LCIS family.
What's new this year is I think we're open to younger students, actually. Typically we've left scholarships for older students, but I think we've recognized, we've had some students who have been Student of the Year nominee for their school come to our school and bring so much in terms of their influence on their classmates, their interest in our programs. They're definitely emerging leaders of tomorrow. So we recognize we benefit more, I think, sometimes even than the students themselves who come to the school from their talents, their passions, their drive, their ambition, and their parents are always so supportive and deeply committed to the school as well.
Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper also in attendance for the announcement, calling it a magnificent opportunity for Bahamians who would normally not be able to afford to attend the institution.
I make the point that I hope that Family Island students will also feature prominently in the selection admission process for these scholarships. And oftentimes, in some of the family islands, there are limitations in terms of teacher availability, sometimes in supplies. Some schools, for example, may not have a science lab, so a student who ordinarily might be a brain surgeon in the future, because they don't have that opportunity to get that start with the right facilities and resources, may have to divert their career path. But we hope that as a result of this scholarship, that we will be able to find some diamonds in the family islands.
14-year-old Melania Nixon is a primary school student of the year scholarship recipient. She shares her experience at the institution.
In 2019, I was the first runner-up for Student of the Year, and I was able to get a scholarship to attend Life for Key International School. And with that, I also got a scholarship from Life for Key as well to attend the school here. I've been in the media club for 3 years. I have been a leader of an MCM, which means it's a charity club, and I am the leader of the charity club. And we've been able to donate canned goods to Hands for Hunger for Thanksgiving.
This next one is for our ladies in Grand Bahama. Jubilee Cathedral is hosting a giveaway next weekend on February 4th, where over 20,000 shoes will be available for the public. Senior pastor of Jubilee Cathedral, Bishop Godfrey Williams, tells us more.
We have 21,000 pairs of shoes, ladies' shoes, 96 to 98 different designs. Just for ladies. As long as you are a lady, all you have to do is to show up. Come just as you are. You don't need any appointment. We will have it set up whereby you'll see your size. Where we have from 11 down to about 5.5. We even have some kids' shoes as well.
The shoes range from athleisure to professional to more glamorous styles, and Executive Pastor LaQuez Williams promises fun for the whole family to keep everyone entertained while you choose your shoes.
It's a time whereby you can bring the family as well. We also have bounce houses for the kids. We want to make sure that we include the kids involved as well. So the kids will be out there with the bounce houses. They'll be supervised there as well. Also, we ask that people would also bring some funds as well, because we also have some vendors who will be out here that will be selling some food. The shoes are free. The shoes are free, but the food is not free.
An environmental lawyer turned farmer is on a mission to help Bahamians make better food choices, starting from the ground up. With her farm, Local Organics Limited, our Marlena Leonard has her story.
It's just grown and grown and grown to food sustainability and affordability for our people to have the same things and opportunities for a healthy lifestyle that people in other countries do. But no one's going to do it for us. We have to do it ourselves.
Tiffany Dennison, owner of Local Organics Limited in Grand Bahama, has a master's degree in environmental law and spent years on the island as an attorney, but has now shifted her focus to her farm and helping residents make better choices with the foods they eat every day.
So I started thinking about the lack of food sustainability here, and more specifically the lack of affordable organic food here, since we suffer quite heavily from the repercussions as a country from processed food. Everything we eat is fried. I mean, rice is a huge thing. These are all things that we've gotten used to eating on our diet because it's been something that's been able to be imported and can last a long time. So everything we eat is processed, and we like fried food because if anything's a little bit off with your meat or anything like that, you fry it. So we've gotten ourselves into that sort of a situation. So we suffer very highly from hypertension, obesity, diabetes.
Dennison's farm is mainly hydroponics and aquaponics and has been able to keep her organic spring mixes to $6 a box. But she says now there's a new request coming down the line.
We've actually also started planting romaine because I've heard a lot of horror stories about the prices of romaine. So we started growing romaine. That's one thing we're doing. And then when we sell ours, it won't be $14, $15 for 3 heads that are half rotten.
And thanks to her willingness to work with local restaurateurs, some eateries have been able to keep menu prices down.
Again, we've kept that at $6, and we've kept the restaurant prices at wholesale because they take in bigger bulk. We've kept them at their same prices as well, trying to make sure everybody can afford to eat healthy.
And the farmer says the magic of agriculture is in the community.
I think this is all about community, Really, it's all for the benefit of our island, our country, because for me personally, and I know for Mr. Hall before he passed, it was about feeding Freeport, Grand Bahama, the Bahamas, and then anybody else to the south, that we can help this in the same position that we are. We don't seek to export to America. They grow enough, you know, for themselves, and rightly so. We should be thinking about feeding our own country and maybe our sisters and brothers in the same position. If I can ever get that big one day, which I will, one day.
In Grand Bahama, reporting for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
Awesome initiative. A little rain this morning and cloudy skies in the afternoon. The weather report is coming up ahead. And if you thought the logo for the 50th anniversary of independence was fancy, wait until you see it on authentic Bahamian straw bags made by Ingrid Bodie. See you on the other side of the break for the viewing. Can we do a better job of helping victims and survivors of abuse? It's an issue tackled in episode 2 of the Our News podcast, The Rewind, now live on our YouTube page. Assistant Clinical Coordinator of the Bahamas Psychological Association, Megan Johnson, and criminal attorney Typinder Mackey gave their take on simple ways to help.
I think Bahamians have a tendency to hold, we were talking about this earlier, to hold other people at the same standard at which they live their lives. And so any content, data, information that you get from others that you can't relate to, you immediately judge and you demean it, or you find it as evil or wrong or whatever.
The legislation is there. It is just for members of the community to, you know, sort of support the individual, encourage persons to seek help, assistance of the police, as well as, you know, mental health as well.
Watch a new episode of The Rewind on the Our News Bahamas' YouTube page. They say if it rains on Sunday, it rains for the rest of the week. Let's take a look at the weather forecast over the next few days. The 50th anniversary of Independence logo officially launched to the public last week. In just a matter of hours, a veteran straw bag artist Ingrid Bodie sprang into action, recreating the design on handbags.
But I had all the material because I was thinking black, yellow, and aqua. So the bag was already ready. And so once that logo dropped that night, that next morning I was on this bag. And that bag was finished within 2 to 3 hours.
She shares what the process was like, taking the logo from print to straw canvas.
It's a photocopy of the logo, and you just place it on the bag, position it where you want it to go, and you just take your needle and begin to work.
Bodie says she plans to make each design uniquely Bahamian.
I'm going to add things Bahamian on there, things like the palm tree, maybe a bigger flamingo, the Bahamas flag, so I'm going to add a little something on each of the bags. Yes, these bags, they can come in medium and small, and I'm also going to put them on clutches, and they're going to be on portfolios. And so, you know, whatever design persons might want.
So far, she says she's received positive feedback.
I had so many comments, so many nice comments from people that I didn't even know, you know, so that was very, very encouraging.
Very beautiful work, and thank you so much for joining us for Our News Weekend Edition. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Megan Shepard. Enjoy the remainder of your weekend.